All right, you get me again. Right before lunch, waiting for my slides to show him. We're going to talk about our strategic roadmap for the next 18 to 24 months. This will set the stage for the CAP discussion this afternoon. All right, so this morning we talk about in this new third area of first-party data renaissance, right? You need to be really good at working with the data. You need to have the right tools so you can actually work with ever large data sets and also be able to react quickly. You're gonna have to have better first data than all your competitors, and you probably gonna have to add data people to your team, if not full-blown data scientists. Now, so in this world, our goal is to help you adjust to this kind of third era, right? In the technology, we'll want to provide you with the technology that you'll need to achieve this kind of first party data mastery, and give you the ability to essentially get your hands on whatever data you need to get your hands on, and be able to extract and manipulate the data as necessary. A lot of the stuff you just saw here in the solution showcase. Be able to actually use that data to prep prompts for your AI, which is so you have to do dynamic construction, and also then literally being able to inject AI into every part of your automation, and also take the output of AI and actually operationalize it, which a lot of people kind of forget that, yes, sure, AI can give you stuff, but what are you going to do with it, right? And that automation as well. And the key here is, of course, enable you to do all of this without actually have to have data scientists and data engineers on your staff. I can hint that earlier. My son is a data engineer, works on Amazon, and I like to yank his chain and tell him that Openprise's mission is to put him out of a job. So the three areas that we're gonna focus, we have already started going down this journey. When we're putting a lot of investment behind it, you kind of saw this thing already. Three areas: data supply chain management, data fracking, and AI. Now, why do we want to work on data supply chain management? So we talked earlier about how important third-party data is, right? But we also talk about even if you get good at it, there's still competitive differentiation you can get out of it. Okay. So the short of it is that given we all, have limited resources, you can't afford to put a lot of your resources in this area. It's non-differentiating, right? So our goal is to outsource third-party data supply chain management for you, so you don't have to make the sausages. Let us make the sausage for you. Okay. Data fracking. Why do we focus on this? And we talk about that. We've gone through the first era where we all have digitized a lot of this first-party data, and so we got all the basic bits done. So going to the third era, now we have to get to stuff that's really hard to get to, hard to automate. So so this means you have to deal with systems and type of data we're not accustomed to working on, and we'll get to detail what those are. And again, the goal is that you really need this capability. Start separate that signal from the noise that we spent a lot of time talking about this morning. And the way to do that, the only way we know how to do it today, is that you have to be able to triage data from multiple sources. Okay, that's in this new world. That's your responsibility. Why AI? May sound a little silly. Why are we asking that question right now? This is really the technology you're already seeing for the presentation that this is the technology that's powering a lot of these data fracking use cases. And we expect this to also play an important role in the supply chain management use cases as well. Um, and yes, we're not going to all have the ability to hire all the data engineer and data scientists. So what AI is going to be hopefully able to do is to be able to give you some of that capabilities when you don't have the people with the skill set to do that. And the last thing is that as ops teams, we build solutions for our go-to-market teams, right? So, and yes, going to be a lot of kind of these black box co-pilot stuff you can buy, but trying to make these things work together and work for your specific use cases is going to be difficult. At the end of the day, we all end up having to build stuff, right? So the key here is that can we give you the abilities that you can actually build your own AI-powered solutions with AI instead of just buying another black box Copilot solution. All right, with that, let's start digging into these three areas. So data supply chain management. So The problem with third-party data today is that if you look at the entire process of figuring out what data you need to buy, who to buy it from, and how to buy it, operationalize it, this entire process is just painful. And if you try to do this with more than 3 vendors, that's just not a fun exercise, right? So, and the reason this is the way it is because the whole experience is structured around, it's a very much of a vendor-centric experience. So a lot of things you see what we have rolled out is that we're trying to re-engineer the experience so it's more buyer-centric. We're trying to make the experience easier for the people who buy the data and not just all about protecting the asset of the vendors. And to do this, you essentially need a kind of trusted middleman, and that's the goal we're playing. So the overall kind of solution architecture we have today and the multi-vendor enrichment of platform we talk about this morning, that's the foundation. So now we have this group of vendors whose data work well with each other. So that builds the data set that we build on. On top of it, we have already started rolling out these new solutions. We talk about automated acquisition and target enrichment this morning. And we talk about prospecting portal. And the next one we'll talk about is the hierarchy builder. So you can expect us to see us rolling out additional solutions that sit on top of this multi-vendor data set. Again, the goal here is that we want these solutions to help you improve, make it easy for you to buy and consume this data. And of course, on top, it's all the metrics we talk about this morning, right? We want to not only make it easy for you to use it, we want to be able to let you able to have quantitative measurements and metrics so they help you make informed decisions when it comes to your data spend. So you guys think this foundation already? Again, this is we're constantly evaluating new vendors to see how they fit. Just to give you guys a sense of our approach to this, we don't add another vendor just because they want to be part of the vendor. We ask the question, what's your differentiation? What are you bringing to the table? Right? For example, for contact, that's a long list. Adding another vendor doesn't help, right? So it's really, so what are you bringing? Are you bringing new data? For example, are you covering a new geographical area that we currently don't have? Or are you covering specific segments, specific industries? So they need to kind of help us fill out the puzzle even more before we'll bring them in. And so this will just be a continuous process. And we talk about the automated acquisition, the target enrichment, so I'm not going to repeat that. The next big thing that's coming in the first half of next year is account hierarchy builder. We have a strategic alliance with Dun & Bradstreet. So of course, Dun & Bradstreet has the best full hierarchy, account hierarchy information out there. So what this solution will provide you is ability to visualize different hierarchies you have in your system like CRM, and give your team the ability to also customize it and maintain it. So just very quickly on the left-hand side, you'll see the Dun & Bradstreet hierarchy. So you can search for any company you want. We'll first pull up where that company shows up in the DMB hierarchy. Again, you can see that without having to pay for it. And on the right-hand side, you'll see multiple columns. Each column is one of the hierarchies you may have. So based on how many hierarchies you maintain in your system, it can be from different systems, we'll dynamically construct a hierarchy for you based on the relationship field you have, and also then give you the ability to move them and restructure them to whatever makes sense. You probably want to collapse large hierarchies for large companies like Disney, for example, and also be able to sometimes move an entire branch, let's say entire European division over to the US because that account somehow is handled out of the US sales team. So once you set up that kind of customization, then every time the source data from DMB gets updated, we will help you maintain the integrity of those hierarchy going forward, and the ability to do this to build up to 10 different hierarchies. I think the most I've seen right now is 7 for one customer. So you may have one for commission calculation, finance, partnership, sales, and all that. So this, again, expect first version of this to show up around the first half of next year. Now, third-party enrichment is really just part of it. What we call the data supply chain management is really more comprehensive than that. There are 3 specific areas on top of that. So all this data fracking stuff we talk about, that's actually part of your enrichment, should be part of your enrichment strategy, right? So for example, being able to scrape the signature data out of the email data you already have in your CRM, that is and should be part of your whole comprehensive enrichment strategy. Community data, this is something we talked about last year. There's some data, especially some type of data, quality data, is impossible to get. So, for example, we get frequently asked question, how do you know if that phone number is good? You don't unless somebody calls that phone number. Okay, and guess what? There are vendors out there say they verify the phone number. Yes, and the only true test is your SDR actually making a call and what happened to that phone call, right? So this is the type of data where, the way for community data, which we'll talk about what it is, if we can crowdsource among the community here, that can be something that again should be part of the comprehensive supply chain management solution architecture. Open data, this is an area that is, we have this for a long time. So what happened last year, we built out the infrastructure now. If there are government open data out there that applies to the market you sell to, and this usually means you sell to some kind of regulated industry, and if you can tell us which website where the data lives, we now have the infrastructure to automate pulling down that data, extract it in a way that it essentially can become an enrichment or new account and contact source for you. Again, if it applies to you, that should be also your comprehensive supply chain management solution. All right, data fracking. Data fracking, as you can imagine, the reason we use that word is that it's really about how can you economically extract hard to get to first party data. Economically is important. You can always have an intern or somebody overseas read stuff, type it in, but if your data, you got 2 million records in your database, nobody's going to be able to do that by hand, right? You can't do it economically. With data fracking, with AI, now it's actually possible to read every single record in your database, look at every single field, and do something about it, which previously we just don't have that. Nobody has that capability unless you got some massive IT, custom IT department. So when you look at data fracking, there's 5 general areas that we see where these use cases come from. First one's non-go-to-market systems. Second one's unstructured data, highly related. We'll go into each one of those in detail. Web data, open data, and community data. All right, first, non-go-to-market systems. All of these use cases, even the ones you already heard earlier, we started seeing people looking outside the traditional kind of usual suspect places like marketing automation, CRM. Now they're looking at email servers, calendar servers, a meeting system like Kings and Zoom. And so there's Charlotte's actually doing a session with CS Ops, right? I think Gainsight's conference this year, first time they had an ops session. Right. So people start looking at, there's a lot of stuff in customer success system that can help you with upsells and white spacing, all that. So people start looking out beyond, again, the usual suspect. And what are some of the stuff that they're looking for? So if you look at the right-hand side, obviously they're looking for contact account information, right? And you can also get intelligence about deal progression. Deal intelligence. You can extract, for example, I'm sure your sales team does a great job putting down competitors in your deals. Don't ask them to do it. Extract that information from the meeting records, from the transcripts. And overall, you'll see a lot of the reason behind data fracking is that stop banging your head against the wall trying to get your sales team to do data hygiene, data management. It's not going to happen, period. Just give up. Instead, automate everything. So again, on the CSI, looking at customer satisfaction, predicting churn risk, doing white spacing to see what customer you should be, what conversation you should be having with them with upsells. All this now can be done by pulling in data from these other systems that we're looking at. Now, the second one is unstructured data. This is highly, highly related to our first bucket because a lot of the data we're not looking at from these systems, they're actually unstructured data. This is also the reason why historically it's been tough working with those data from those systems. So we're looking at emails. Right now, these days, literally every meeting is being recorded and transcribed, right? You can go through that. Now, of course, if you use the tools like Gong and they do a lot of the stuff out of the box. If that meets all your needs, great. But if you have specific needs, you're looking for specific information, you're looking for specific automation, this gives you the ability to actually build that yourself. And even support tickets, surveys, contracts, we'll talk about that. So, for example, PDFs. One of the use cases our own finance teams are excited about that we're building is that they want the ability to go through all the DocuSign contracts, PDF files, look for the deal terms, actually update the Salesforce opportunity records to make sure they're accurate. Right? Again, that's used to be you have some junior people in the deal desk or finance have to do this all manually. This all now can be fully automated because we can deal with unstructured data. Again, a lot of the type of information on the right hand side, you can see that you can pull out of these unstructured sources, right? And we already heard a couple of times this morning that even what people putting in the forms, right? The third area is web data. We sort of hear a lot of people say, well, there's some information I need to get in almost real time, right? Or this is information that just you can't buy anywhere. But you can find it if you know how to use the internet. So, everybody, Google search, you can do a lot of stuff on Google search. We saw the examples like how many Pizza My Heart restaurants are out there. Google will give you that information, but how can you automate that process and understand the prompt? We all would love to scrape LinkedIn, and that's a whole interesting conversation on its own. But depends on who you sell to. There are other websites too. For example, we have a customer who sells to lawyers and law firms. Justia, that's LinkedIn for lawyers. This customer, for example, they want to know what the practice area of a lawyer is. For example, are they in bankruptcy law, personal law, corporate law? So they use our technology to actually pull that information out of Justia and LinkedIn. And of course, there's other stuff like website, Wikipedia. So with the aging technology, we'll talk about later. So you'll see enhanced capabilities in this area. But more and more, I think, again, the responsibility falls on you to go get the data you want, right? You can't just buy it. You don't just buy it. Open data, I won't spend too much time here, but there's a lot of good data out there that the government puts out if it applies to you. And this usually involves some kind of things usually around some kind of regulated industry or any industry. If you sell to anybody who needs to be licensed to do their job. So usually this data is not only available from the federal government, but a lot of it is actually available from the Secretary of State website. So the painful thing is there's 52 of them. You have to go pull the data down. Again, if this applies to you, we can help you actually automate this entire process. Last thing, community data. So again, this is an idea we followed last year. We did actually talk to some of you. Haven't been able to get kind of enough interest to get this going. What this is certain things, especially around quality and stuff like org charts. The best source is actually to crowdsource, right? For example, is this phone number actually good? So idea here is that, for example, let's take phone number quality as an example. All your sales teams being bang your phones. And if you use anything like a sales loft outreach, you're recording the outcome of that phone calls. Whether somebody had a conversation or just got a voicemail, or you got a gatekeeper. So what idea behind community data is, using this example, is that we can deploy it. If you agree to participate in this, we will deploy a job in your tenant. So we will basically look at all the call records, right? We'll take the outcome and assign a score of 1 through 9. 9 being that I had a long conversation. A is I had a short conversation, and it gradually gets worse. For example, my phone number will always be a 7 because I never pick up. It's always voicemail. Okay. Now, we will grade every one of these phone calls. We will then hash the phone numbers so we don't collect the actual clear text. Then we will collect basically just the time of the phone call, the hash phone number, and the outcome 1 through 9. We don't even collect the actual data. So now imagine we can pull this data together from all of you. We can then compile them, and we can generate a phone number quality score. Now, if you then want to verify whether a number you have or a number you're buying is any good, you can hash up that phone number and do a lookup against this aggregated community database to say, yeah, how good is this mobile phone number I have for Ed? It's a 7. Okay. So, and you can imagine the kind of stuff we can do: phone number quality, email address quality, right? Was this email the bounce has a lot of soft bounce, or we can integrate in our bot click solution as well. To if somebody said collectively seems like uh, there's a lot we suspect this domains have bots, basically firewalls protecting the emails, and stuff like somebody no longer at company. If somebody already said we already tried to contact this person, we confirm that this person is no longer there, you can propagate that information within the community as well. Then also, eventually, you can start looking at, for example, org hierarchies. If you try to use the organizational hierarchy feature in Sales Navigator, great feature, except you can't get the data out. Right. Also, again, every salesperson has to build that hierarchy. Every person has to reinvent that wheel. I'm sure LinkedIn is having a bonanza harvesting that data. They'll probably sell you that data next year. But if your sales team's already constructing a hierarchy, again, this is the type of information, if we collectively work at it as a community, this can make it a whole lot easier to source this kind of information in a safe environment, right? By the way, the entire idea behind community data is opt-in only. So basically, you can use the output. If you opt in, there's no charge to it. All right, let's talk about AI. So we already talked about today. We have the integration called the OpenAI API compatible services, as well as our own embedded model. So then what's next, right? If you look at how can Openprise leverage AI technology, there's really 2 categories. One is we call it product capability. So it's what kind of AI capabilities can we provide to you, so you can build with AI, or you can use AI to do stuff for you. And for that, we took all the possible use cases and we put them in 4 different categories. We call them AI intern, AI analyst, designer, and manager. And I'll go into what each one of those is and what our priorities are. The second category is really how can we use AI to improve the user experience for our product. And there's also 4 categories. We can use it to improve the user experience, the end user experience, especially for App Factory apps that you build. Right? Imagine, for example, if you have a list loading app, a list building app, instead of filter, you can just type in a prompt says, I'm looking for everybody who's in financial services in the New England area with title that's director or above. I just type in plain language. Second area is documentation. I'm sure you guys all have perfect documentation for your processes. And nobody likes doing this. It's very hard to keep documentation up to date, right? So in fact, platform like us, because it's so easy to change things, we actually help make the problem worse. So the idea here is that can we leverage AI to actually document your process for you? Optimization. You build something, maybe you didn't build it the optimal way. So have AI review what you have built and give you suggestions on how to do it better. And the last one is literally, that's the holy grail. Just tell me what you want, we'll build it for you. The AI will build it for you, right? All right, let's take a look at the 4 AI rules. AI intern. You guys probably all heard about AI agent technology, and if you haven't, we'll talk about a lot of them today. So AI agent technology is basically the ability to have AI essentially behave like a human being. The best way to think about it is an AI agent is somebody with a job, but except it's a machine. So you can tell the agent what the agent's job is and potentially train it with additional data. Then you give it what's called task prompt to say, okay, I want you to go do this. And of course, doesn't take PTOs, doesn't take a bathroom breaks, works 24/7. This is how you can literally go through every single record, every single field in your database if you got enough of these agents running. The technology is absolutely already available today. There's a lot of technology already out there. They're all rapidly evolving, and this is one area you'll see that we are actively working on. So this is all about essentially automating manual tasks that we currently either are doing manually or we haven't been able to do just because economically it doesn't make sense without AI. AI analyst, this is kind of answering Fawn's question from earlier. AI analyst is all about, here's my data. Tell me something about the data that I don't know of, or fill in the blank or whatever. We do have some concerns about, we think some basic use cases is doable. There's a fundamental challenge with this category of use cases that if the analysis you're looking for impacts anybody's job or their pocketbook, you have a trust issue. You have a human acceptance issue, right? For example, let's say you have an AI-powered attribution engine, and you generate a report says, "Hey, marketing." The AI analyst says, "Marketing generated 95% of the pipeline last quarter," and your CRO says, "Bullshit. Show me the numbers. Show me the math." "Oh, I'm sorry, it's a black box. I can't show you the math." But the AI says marketing gets 95% credit. That will never fly in any company I know of, right? So until AI can get to a point, it's called explainable AI. If they can actually, until they can actually show their work, and by the way, anything you see today that says AI can explain what they do, they're actually not explaining what they do. They're creating a response that looks like a response you want to hear, but AI is actually not presenting the logic it went through. It's just answering your question for the sake of answering your question, which a lot of times is actually incorrect. So until that human acceptance issue gets fixed, in a lot of the use cases we see in go-to-market, I'm not sure there much progress can be made. In fact, we've seen kind of version 1 of this probably 5 years ago with the predictive analytics companies like Infer. A lot of them disappeared. And a lot of reasons because, again, if you can't show your work when it comes to this area, not sure how people's going to accept the output. So we're kind of doing a little wait and see there. AI designer is all about, can you essentially configure technology for me, right? In our case, for example, can you suggest mapping of data fields across different systems? Can you suggest a particular workflow or a job design? Technology here is getting pretty close. A lot of the co-pilots stuff you talk about, it's getting pretty close. Now, if you talk to a programmer about actually these coding co-pilots, don't listen to what the CEO says. Listen to the actual engineers who use this technology. What they will tell you is that currently it's good at very limited use cases, building low-level functions, building unit tests, but it can't really crank out any higher level code that's useful. In fact, you spend so much time debugging, you might as well just write a code yourself. So, but we do think the technology will get to a point in the next couple of years where it will become something that we can potentially leverage. The last one's AI manager. This is basically have the AI tell you what to do. I forgot who said this. There will be two kind of people in the future. The type where you tell machine what to do, the other one's machine tell you what to do. You don't want to be in that second category. And so a lot of Copilot kind of falls in this category. Again, we'll see how that plays out. But in general, that's probably not an area we want to get into. So if you look at priority-wise, we're busy building our AI intern. So the AI agent technology, which will be an extension of the stuff you've seen today. We expect to deliver that in the first half of next year. Follow that a year later, we expect technology will be mature enough to we'll get to the AI designers and then eventually get to the AI analysts. On the user experience front, the number one feedback is documentation, documentation, and documentation. So the idea here is that we will take the configuration, all the stuff you already built, automatically generate recommended documentation, something you can easily review and sign off on and modify it. And Ray will talk about this afternoon about how the progression we're looking to do there. But the idea is here that the end goal is that give you final PDF or HTML documentation that anybody, whether it's a new employee or somebody from another team wants to know, how exactly does our lead routing process work? This actually will be a documentation they can read, and the documentation will be updated every time the configuration is updated. Then follow up by optimization and configuration in the future. Oh, the end user UX, that will be second priority behind documentation. But right now, all our energy is going into the documentation automation. All right, let's take a look at the whole AI agent, AI intern. So AI intern, basically, this is a type of AI agent. Again, the focus is here is that it's optimized to do repetitive work. For folks not familiar with the term robotic process automation, RPA, this is another whole category technology that exists for a long time. Essentially, what RPA, if you're not familiar with it, is essentially simulates essentially records and playback human interaction. So it takes over again control of a desktop, a virtual desktop. It can basically simulate, go open this website, navigate, click on this link, do this search, scrape this, copy paste this data. So essentially, you record a sequence what human does, and it plays back. And again, it does that 24/7. So a lot of the kind of classic RPA use cases are now basically being taken over by these new AI agent technology. So, what's different about agent from what we have today is that today you have a single task as AI agent. You just give it a task prompt, and what this will do is that now agents, in addition to just the raw Gen AI model, you can give it tools like a scraper, OCR. You can give it specific websites with the information you want. So basically, again, think about it like a human being. AI is like what an intern. If you have an intern, what would you do? Say, here's your job description, and here's the tools I'm going to give you that go do this job 24/7, right? And so the agent will basically right now Ask AI is essentially a task prompt. You're asking the model to do something. AI agent will have two prompts. In addition to task prompt, there'll be a role prompt. Now, you guys probably have heard the term prompt engineering is actually a job now. So if you talk to people who are really good at prompt engineering, a lot of what they will tell you is that the most important part of prompt is actually not the direction what to do. It's actually a description of what the hell your job is. The people who do a really good job with prompt engineering, they actually write a very lengthy, almost like a job description, right? You tell AI who the agent is, what the job is, including stuff like you have 20 years of experience doing this kind of work. And that's the stuff that we're going to overlay on our task prompts. So you'll be able to create role prompts. So for example, be able to tell what the role is. Those are kind of tools you're going to give to the agent. And by basically combining a role, and the role prompt is something that you don't have to put in over and over again. When you create a specific agent, you just have to do the role prompt once. Then when you use that specific agent, that role prompt will carry over and be appended to the task prompt. So you can be a whole lot more efficient in designing these automation. So today you directly work with a service. So basically you would enable either OpenAI or Anthropic or us. So what you're going to see is that instead of being Ask AI being going directly to the raw model, we will basically add an agent layer. So once you basically have to create agent will use a model with the specific tools with a role prompt about what the job is. Then Ask AI task will now work with the agent instead of going directly to the raw model. So here's an example, right? So here's two examples about, your role is a sales manager. So, again, of course, the prompt needs to be more descriptive or much more verbose than this. But here's an example of actually getting into describing what the job is, right? Including what kind of experience, what kind of tasks you do. Literally imagine like a 5-page job description for anybody any intern you're trying to hire. So this is the kind of stuff, again, once you have this filter out, and of course, we will be offering a lot of these kind of out-of-box recipes for these role prompts and these default agents for more of the common use cases. And here's an example of the SDR agent doing contact research. So basically, I want you to use these tools, go to these sources. I want you to extract this type of information. So go surf the web and find the stuff I want. And here's an example number two. This may be again, we talk about a deal desk example, right? This is an agent that essentially work at a deal desk. We'll look at all the either deal with the submissions or the proposal that's being put in, making sure everything's tightened up, has all the right SKUs. So and make sure all the data, all the paperwork matches what's in your system. Again, it's a fairly repetitive task today that can be fully automated with the agent. With that, we'll have lunch.